You've been approved. We are going shopping for a house. We are going to shop for homes that are within your budget. We do not want to go over budget. We want to stay at budget or below budget. We're going to try to get you the best deal that we can. We're also going to make sure that if we are in a multiple offer situation, that those awesome ninja negotiating skills that I have are going to come right into play and make sure that we get you, like I said, the best bang for your buck. Now, what happens once we go under contract? That is a great question. This is what's going to happen. There's things called contingencies. And contingencies mean that you are going to purchase this house as long as XYZ passes or we meet the financing deadline, things like that. So the first contingency is a home inspection. Never waive a home inspection, especially if you are a first-time home buyer. You want that home inspection that's a third-party inspector. I have lots of them that I can refer to you, but you are going to want to know the ins and outs of your house. We're going to find defects, and we're also going to see positive things. It's not always a negative thing to have a home inspection, but we want to make sure that we're not going to be nitpicky. We want to make sure that we're looking at the structure and the sound and the safety of the house. So that is a home inspection, and it's out-of-pocket expense of roughly $450, depending on your area. In the Central Virginia area, you can find home inspectors costing anywhere from $450, maybe up to $600. It's really based on the square footage of the home. So we will definitely give you tons of referrals. But there are other contingencies that are also involved when purchasing a home. But let's stick with the home inspection. That home inspection contingency, let's just pretend that it says that that you need a handrail fix. This handrail is broken. It's not going to fly with the lender because it's a safety issue. So we get that report back from the home inspector. You and I are going to evaluate it. We're going to review things and see what is important to us versus, I could probably fix that. Like there's a loose doorknob or something along those lines. That probably is something you can take care of on your own. But when it comes to safety and structure, we are going to then present a report to the seller and ask them to fix certain things that we found on the home inspection report. Then that seller will come back and either say yes or no to the request on that report. If they say no, that is something that we're going to have to talk about. But this is part of the negotiation. Now, what if we give the seller multiple items to fix on this report? The seller then has the option to say yes, no, yes, no. They can go down and choose what they want to repair, what they don't want to repair. Then they will present it back to you, and then you will say yay or nay. If you say nay, then we come out of contract and we look for another house. If we say yay, we can go ahead and fix those things that the seller isn't going to fix, no problem. Then we're going to move on with the rest of the inspections. But those home inspections are very crucial, and it's also something that you want to get done almost immediately after putting a contract on a house. You want to get that done within 5 days. And you also don't necessarily have to be present for this. That is something that I provide for my clients. If they cannot be present, I will be present for them on their behalf. And I also legally have to be able to open the door for them. Unless it's a new construction home, then the builder does that. But that is what happens during a home inspection. So it's something to prepare for. Make sure that you have a little bit of some cash set aside for that, because that is not part of your closing cost. That is part of your upfront cost. And a lot of people don't understand that. So now you know, right? Right. All right, let's move on to the next inspection. Now, depending on what part of Virginia you are in, you may be responsible for the other inspection cost. And not all homes need inspections beyond a home inspection, except for a pest inspection. The pest inspection is going to check for wood-destroying insects. Those wood-destroying insects are going to be termites and carpenter bees. For the most part, termites can be a huge problem. And then also, if there was proof that there was termites like prior to that, but they're now dead, there still is a treatment that you can do for that so that you know nothing is ever going to come back. So wood destroying insects, that inspection is fairly affordable, somewhere around $50 or less, just depending on what company you use. So that can be paid by the buyer or the seller. That is part of negotiations when you are writing up your contract. If you, buyer, want to make sure that you are standing out from the rest of the other offers, if they are in a multiple offer situation, then that might be something you're willing to do to entice the seller to accept your offer. The next inspection, if you live in a rural area that does not offer public water or public sewer, are going to be well and septic inspections. These can get a little tricky. Let's talk about it. If you are buying a house that is an area that offers public water and public sewer, then those inspections are not going to be necessary for your home. But when you are in certain parts of Central Virginia, there's a good portion of homes that have their own private septic and own private well. When this happens, this is when those inspections are going to be crucial. This is also something that you're going to negotiate into the contract on who's going to pay for these inspections. So are we going to ask the seller to pay for them, or is buyer willing to front the money on an inspection like this? Septic inspections can cost somewhere around $700 to $800. They will open up the lid to the sewer, to the septic. Yes, it is a stinky day. But it is important to know what is going on in there. Are there any cracks? Is there anything broken in there? Because they're underground most of the time, we don't know what's happening under there. The other thing that a septic company is going to do during this inspection is pump out all of the contents that are in the tank so that that tank is nice and fresh for you when you move in and you don't have to worry about it. The next one is going to be the well inspection. Now, pest companies and septic companies offer this service to test the water. They'll get a water sample from inside. In some cases, a buyer may request that the entire well casing is inspected. A lot of the times wells are like deep wells, and you'll see a PVC pipe that goes deep down into the ground. And then other times you'll see a concrete well, and those are typically your shallow wells. Now, with those, they're going to inspect it to make sure there is nothing broken and there's no debris within your well. These inspections can be a little costly, and not all sellers are going to ask for you to do, or approve, are going to approve for you to do this. They're definitely not going to pay for it. For the inspection portion of it. The only thing that's really required is to test the water to make sure there's no bacteria within that. But otherwise, you are good to go with these inspections. So we have our home inspection, our septic inspection, and our well inspection. Are there any other inspections? Oh, yes. The pest inspection, wood destroying insects. But other than that, are we clear with all of the inspections that are involved? And do we understand that sometimes these are out-of-pocket costs for the buyer and sometimes they're out-of-pocket costs for the seller? It really kind of depends on the terms of the contract, and that is what your real estate agent is going to walk you through. It will also depend on your budget as well. So, home inspection, always from a buyer though. Keep that in mind. Now, I know that we've been talking about inspections, but at the beginning of this video, I talked about contingencies. And the contingencies are the what ifs, or I'm not buying this house if. So there are a few contingencies. The most important contingency is the home inspection contingency, well and septic contingency, and then last but not least is the appraisal contingency. There are other contingencies involved, like a financing contingency or an FHA loan contingency or a veteran VA loan contingency. We can go into those types of contingencies on another video, and that's going to be loan type contingencies. But the final contingency for pretty much anybody across the board, unless you're a cash buyer, is going to be the appraisal. The appraisal is when the bank hires a third-party appraiser to go out and they say what the value of the house is. They use comparables from other homes around the area. They're going to take into consideration the age of the house, the condition of the house, any updates, anything like that, and the safety and structure of the house. This is what's going to give us our appraisal number. And if that number is lower than what we've offered, we have a new set of negotiation ninja skills that we have to unlock. So just letting you know that. So I'm not going to spend too much time on an appraisal, but there are some times where an appraisal number comes in lower than the offer purchase price. And then we have a new set of negotiation ninja skills to unlock. And we go back to the seller and we discuss that. And we can talk more about appraisals at a later video, but just kind of giving you a quick overview of that. The idea is to make sure that the listing agent has priced that home appropriately, that home is equaling up, comparing to the other homes that have sold in the area. And, you just kind of want to make sure you're on the same page as the appraiser. And that's where we come up with our final contingency. If it doesn't appraise, like I said, opens a new skill level of negotiation skills, because that is also going to give you a chance to either back out if the seller is not going to agree to lower the price, or whatever the case may be when it comes to the appraiser. Also, the appraiser will say if there's certain things that need to be fixed before the loan is approved. And if that's the case, then the seller will fix these things. More than likely, you have to still negotiate that. But we can, like I said, we're going to talk more about appraisals later, but this is just kind of a quick overview about it. With a good agent, you'll be fine. There you have it. This is phase 2 of buying a house. So if you did not watch phase 1, go back to the other videos, watch phase 1 so that you know how to get started on getting to phase 2. Super important. I hope you find this video very valuable to you. If you do, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Please make sure that you share with your friends. And if you know anybody that's moving to the Central Virginia area, specifically Caroline County, then please share this video with them too. Share my phone number, all that good jazz. And I can't wait to see you for phase 3. Let's go.